Cooking safely, yes. Right, yeah. That's my final answer. Cooking safely. I'm terrible.
I am a straight donation station in Jupiter.
If you're low on cash, call Sawhead.
Give us a moment, FP. Give us a moment. Right in the middle. What a birdie.
Go, squeeze.
Can we just please stop saying this a moment ago?
Subtle signs that you're playing with a stick.
A bag? You want me to be intimidated by a f***ing bag?
What is up, golf sickos? I gotta say, you know, we've done the show in some cool locations. Not that many cool locations, but we've done them in some cool locations. We had a lovely dune behind us in Ireland. You were there with us for that.
I was, yes.
The dune was great.
The dune was great.
I think this takes the cake.
This is number one.
Well, this is number one. We are in a beautiful setting overlooking the stadium course. We got the 16th green right behind us. We just saw Rory McIlroy go through, doing a little Tiger Joey LaCava, just chipping and putting. I didn't see him hit any shots. We got the 17th green, the island green. It's really more of an isthmus green, if we're being honest. Before we get into the show, and there is a lot to talk about on Dan on Golf presented by Knockaround, we're going to talk all about Brian Rolapp's vision for the future of the PGA Tour. We're going to run through some press conferences. Ben's going to run us through some outfits, which is fun. But first, Alan, the coverage of Rory this week has been absolutely breathless and incredible. It's like the guy was shot. With the people on the television in three-piece suits talking about Rory. I'm getting a message from Rory McIlroy's team that he's going to arrive on site on Wednesday. That means he might not get a practice round. You know, I just read your book about Rory on the flight over here, so I don't know if this is sensitive, but it's so serious. It's like a really the coverage has been like it's like really something really serious is happening.
Well, he's the defending champion. He's trying to ramp up to defend in Augusta. I mean, if you can't take that seriously, Dan, you may be in the wrong business.
Well,
Talk about tennis.
No,
it's a big deal.
We talk about golf, but I feel like we do it in like a light way on this show. Like, you know, there's a lot of things that I'm a fan of. You know, like Lady Gaga is one of them. But I don't like talk about it like it's this serious business. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is fun. We're doing this for fun. I think it's the three-piece suits that do it for me. I think if the guys were doing the reports in, like, you know, a T-shirt or a golf shirt, but the three-piece suits, it's like they're Walter Cronkite out there.
Yeah. You're breaking the fourth wall because we have to pretend all this is so impactful. It's only professional golf. None of it matters.
Well, it's fun. No, I think you're missing the point here. I'm not saying that it's not like great and that we don't need to pay attention to it. But I don't think that we need to, you know, there's some pretty serious shit going on. Like, and listen, I'm not saying no golf story is serious. The Gary Woodland stuff, which we're going to touch on, very serious, very appropriate tone. The Rory texts, like a missile just went off, has been breathtaking to me.
Well, so after he hit balls, he addressed reporters, and in 7 different ways he was asked, could this ruin your career, Rory? Like, how big a chance are you taking, Rory? He's like, it's fine, just a little muscle. It's not a big deal. Like, if people can't come back, you're risking everything, Rory.
So he's on my team.
I know.
He's on my team. No,
and
I just read your book, and you know, you go through pretty much every start that he has made, and it's like you realize these there's ups and there's downs, and Rory's done and Rory's back, and
yes, but part of the incredible longevity of Rory is that he stayed mostly healthy. You know, like you look at him compared to Tiger, you look at some of these old dogs. I mean, Rory's been there every week, and so this does stand out at a critical moment in this season and in his ascent, you know, to try and get back to the mountaintop. So, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but it adds a little drama, and you're right, it's overcooked from the guys on Golf Channel.
Whatever.
That's what they do. They got to fill up like 40 hours this week.
It's the three-piece suits.
Mercy.
It's the three-piece suits for me. It was actually interesting. He said he's been healthy for so much throughout his career. You know, last week was only his second withdrawal ever, and you talked about the first withdrawal in your book. He quit. He just quit, and then he actually admitted a couple. Right? What's that story?
Yeah. So he. This was during a period of malaise in his life, and he was playing at Honda, and he was defending champ. He was world #1. He was 8 over on the first 9 holes, and then he hit it in the water on 18. He just started on the back 9. He's like, I'm out of here. And so he just basically walked right to the parking lot and drove off. And then they put out this cockamamie statement that he had soreness from his wisdom tooth, even though he was out there munching a sandwich right before.
Literally 20 minutes before, he was just grabbing a sandwich.
And crushing a hose.
His wisdom tooth. He had creaky old tooth.
The cover-up is always worse than the cry. And but to his credit, he took ownership and said that was a mistake, and I should have just shot my 85 and tried hard. And it was a teachable moment for Rory. But yeah, I mean, look at Brooks, look at Bryson. Like these guys, JT, Jordan Spieth, like they break down, they have surgery. I mean, Rory's had a little bad luck.
Hideki, Will Zalatoris,
Yeah, go on.
It's actually incredible the violence in his swing that it is only the second time that it's or the first time that a back.
I mean, credit to
injury's
Rory.
causing
He put in a lot of work in his early 20s to get in shape when he probably could have just coasted.
Yeah.
So the big news today was Brian Rolapp. So doing his first press conference as the PGA Tour CEO. Interesting, he's not the commissioner. Jay Monahan's still the commissioner. He gave a nice little head tap to Jay. He said, everyone clapped. It was really nice. I think Jay's probably loving life right now. Actually, I don't know him. You might know him better than I do. I think maybe those guys like to be in the mix, but it's probably nice to just hang out at Pablo Creek down the road and just be a figurehead.
Well, getting paid $17 million, sign me up for that.
Yeah,
but I talked to Monahan after the presser.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we have a love-hate relationship, and but he was relaxed. I said, let's go get a drink and just talk off the record. Like I just want to know what's going on, and he's like, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. that was the no.
That was a hard no.
Yeah.
But like I could see it in his eyes. Like he was been under siege for years. 'Cause even before Live, there was COVID. There was a Premier Golf League. I mean, he was in the meat grinder for 5 years. Yeah. So I think you're right. He's enjoying this pre-retirement.
All right. So speaking of Brian Rolapp, he laid out kind of a 6-point plan. There were no definites. Which kind of started to spread around TPC Sawgrass early this week that we weren't really going to hear. I think, there was one way that this could go, which was sort of the extreme version, which he was going to stand up there and say the Players' Championship is a major and here's the schedule for next year. He did neither of those two things. In his opening statement, he actually said, we take a lot of pride in the Players' Championship, and based on our major discussion, maybe a little bit too much pride, which I thought was like a nice moment of humanity because, for as strong and as decisive as he seems to be, one of my sort of early reads on him is that he could be like a little bit humorless, like just very, very serious. So I thought that was kind of like I feel like the PGA Tour in the past would just be like, we're a major, kind of ignoring the masses. He does seem to be fan forward. He had a quote that said, the sports business is not that complicated. Just think about as a fan, and 9.5 times out of 10, that's the right course of action. So he laid out 6 things. We're going to go through all 6, but I want to start with my favorite. Let's roll this first clip, Andy, of Brian Rolapp.
Number 2. A key consideration has been establishing more consistent fields to the PGA Tour. This means moving away from small fields and no-cut events. Our best events will have larger fields. Ideally, we are targeting something closer to 120-player fields with a cut. That consistency matters. It helps fans know who they will see and showcases who they want to see, the most competitive players. It helps partners know what they're investing in. And it helps players better understand the competitive landscape in their schedules, all while embracing meritocracy.
Finally.
I'd kiss the man if I could. I have been calling for this since the beginning of these no-cut limited fields event. They suck. They stink. And the only reason that they made those is as an overreaction to Live. But what I will tell you is there is a tried and true method for a golf tournament, a size and a format. 120 players with a cut. That is a differentiator for pro golf, the meritocracy aspect of it. You start, whether you're Scotty Scheffler or the last guy in the field, if you don't shoot a certain score over your first 2 rounds, you're out. You're going home with nothing in your pocket. I think it's a huge differentiator for the PGA Tour, and I don't know where anyone got the idea that less players in a tournament is a better idea. They basically recreated the WGC model, and the WGCs stunk. They were terrible. The first 2 rounds were fucking soulless. There's no drama. And the best sort of example or recent encapsulation of the magic of the cut is Scotty Scheffler at Riviera. He had like a streak of 65 straight cuts or whatever it was. He badly did not want to miss the cut at Riviera. He had a 6-footer for par on 18. He made it, and he fist pumped that shit. You're never going to see that if there was no cut.
Yeah.
So the cut coming back is fantastic, fantastic news, and I think it shows, some reverence, some manners for the history of the game. Like, we don't need to recreate the wheel when it comes to the actual competition. I understand you want bigger tournaments, you want more money, we're going to talk about all of that, but with the actual competition, over 100 players with a cut is the tried and true format, and I got to applaud Brian Rolapp on my chest here, because that was the #1 piece that I don't really care what the schedule looks like going forward. I mean, I do. I'll be at the tournaments or I won't be at the tournaments, but they fundamentally altered the dynamic of professional golf with these 80-player, 72-player no-cut events. It was utter woke nonsense. I am glad that it is gone, Alan.
Well, and in the battle with Live Golf, that was the #1 talking point for the tour, is we are a meritocracy. And then they turned into Live Light. It was they lost their way. Now, of course, TV drives everything, and the sponsors don't want to have Rory or Scotty miss the cut and be gone on the weekend. We know that, but the reality is it has that friction you need. And how often is Scotty going to miss the cut?
That's what I'm saying. Where they say, "Oh, we don't want the stars to be, gone on the weekend." The reason they're stars is because they don't really miss cuts.
They don't.
And Scotty's made 70 something in a row. Like, I think he'll be okay.
And if they miss the cut, they're not going to contend anyway, and they won't be on the telecast. So what are you really missing? So,
right, and it makes the Friday telecast that much better. So I think today was sort of a tacit admission, and this is one of the benefits of having just a change agent or just a person who isn't Jay Monahan come in and be the CEO, is he can come in and like clean house. And I think it was an admission. Okay, that was a little bit of an overreaction when we went to the 80 players, 72 kind of closed shop, no cut, really small fields. And today was an admission, which I think is a big part of leadership, and Rolapp said this is humility, was we got that wrong.
Well, and the best thing about Rolapp is he came as an outsider, which has never happened. The tour is always promoted from within. And so he's not encumbered like, well, we have to do it this way because we've always done it that way. And so he just has fresh eyes on all of it. And the players' fifth major debate is great because until 6 months ago, he never even thought about it.
Right.
He's not a golf guy.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really care. So he doesn't have an emotional stake in this. And so he can just see everything in a very clear-eyed way and just cut through all the nonsense. Like, why are we going to small markets and playing tournaments with no good players? It just dilutes the product. They're out.
Yeah.
I actually thought his comments on unification were interestingly enough tied to this, because like if he doesn't care necessarily about that conversation anymore, then what does he need to like try to compete with them on a schedule basis or a field basis?
Yeah, so we'll touch, before we get back into like his 6-point plan, we'll touch on 2 topics that he didn't discuss, at least not in his opening statement. The first one being the rollback. I asked him about the rollback. He said we haven't made a decision, kind of kicked the can down the road. The second one was sort of a 2-part Live question. The first one was, is reunification something that you're thinking about? And he said, I'm really focused on making our tour better, which was kind of a no. And then, are you thinking about allowing Live players to play in the Players' Championship? And he basically said no. So I don't think he's focused on Live. In fact, I know he's not focused on Live. Great manners from Brian Rolapp to the history of the game, respect for the history of the game. And speaking of manners, we're wearing Manners Golf, not Alan, but the two of us are. That's right. The best apparel in the game. I've been getting a lot of compliments. I get a lot of shit before my outfits. I've been getting a lot of compliments recently. We have a promo code for you. If you go to mannersgolf.com and use the promo code DOG15, you get 15% off your order, which is a significant discount.
That's healthy.
So anything that you see on Manners, you say, oh, that costs $200. No, actually it costs, well, now I have to do the math. 170. There we go. All right, let's move on. So he talked about more stuff, did Brian Rolapp. The second one was talking about the season structure itself, how many tournaments. Let's roll that clip.
Number 1, as we look at the calendar, there is an emphasis on playing our season from late January to early September. In terms of overall structure, inclusive of the majors, the players, and the postseason, we are looking at roughly 21 to 26 tournaments on a first track of elevated events with the best players competing for higher purses. Let me break that down. Today we have 8 signature events. We are effectively looking to at least double that number. Add the 4 majors, the Players' Championship, our postseason, and the President's Cup or Ryder Cup, and you get to the 21 to 26 event range. And to be clear, we will have a second track of PGA Tour tournaments, which will ladder up to those elevated events. I will touch on that shortly.
So the way that I sort of process this, I mean, that's already kind of what the top players do, right? They play between 21 and 26 events. Now it's just the ones that aren't signature events are now going to be signature events, and that just means more money and a bigger build out. So it seems like, let's take a tournament like the Cognizant Classic. Like a tournament like that, they're either going to have to pony up more money to get into this A track, or they're going to get to pay less money and be in this sort of B track. But like the notion of top players playing 21 to 26 events is not a new thing in professional golf.
No, and I think Rolapp was very coy about where's all that SSG money going. Well, some of that's going to be to fund this because you're not going to get 26 sponsors who want to put in $25 million. That's just not going to happen, and they know that. So the tour will use some of its new reserves, I think, to fund these things. And what a time to be good at golf. Like, in 2021, 3/4 of the tour events had purses less than $9 million. And now it's all going to 20 plus. Like, if you were blessed with great hand-eye coordination and a dad who got you into the game, like, you are stoked.
You were born after the year 2000.
Yeah, I talked to a couple guys today, and because they obviously weren't at the press conference, they were playing golf, which is what they do, and I sort of told them, and they were like, "Yeah, cool, that sounds good to me." It just sounds like there's going to be, instead of 8 signature events, there's going to be 16 signature events plus the players plus the majors. Seems like it's happy days for the pro golfers. And I do think that's got to be where they're going to use some of this investment.
Yeah. Well, and the one thing he really didn't get into, definitely not in any kind of granular way, is how the promotion relegation work, because that could be fascinating.
We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. I'm a big promotion relegation guy.
I know you are.
From English football.
Yeah,
it's coming up later in the show.
Okay, I'll be patient.
We'll get there. All right, the next one he talked about was starting the season with the... Oh, actually, before we get into that one, he said late January to September. Just shows what the rumor mill is. Everyone's saying they're going to start after the Super Bowl. It would be objectively hilarious if the number 2 at the NFL comes in and then just says, actually, we're not starting the season until the Super Bowl is over. Sounds like they're going to start before the NFL season is over. And there's ways to get around this. You just maybe don't have a tournament on Super Bowl Sunday if it's really important for you to, have that sort of prime time window. You can start your season, during the AFC or the weekend in between the AFC and the NFC Championship, whatever it might be. So there are ways around this. You could finish the tournament on a Saturday if you want. There are ways, but I think that notion of starting after the Super Bowl, it seems to not be the case. So speaking of the beginning of the season in January, he had this to say. Let's roll this one.
Number 3, we want to open big with a marquee event at an iconic venue in the West, among other things, allowing us to finish on network television in primetime on the East Coast.
So I got to think this is probably Phoenix, right?
So there was a top waste management executive who I rapped out with, and he was quite jolly.
Do you think he would describe it as you guys rapped out, or do you think he would say we spoke?
Somewhere in between.
Okay.
There was some rapping and there was some speaking, but I was spitting bars. He was just... but yeah, so they're in the mix, but so is Pebble. I texted some Pebble folks, too. They're like, we would love it. Like,
that was my first instinct.
Yeah, iconic venue. Now, obviously, Phoenix has its own thing, but Rolapp came back to the iconic venue a couple times.
The venue comment, yeah.
Yeah, and as a local, like, January is beautiful weather. Mid-February is dicey. So if you actually move Pebble up in the schedule, that would help.
Yeah, you were saying that you ran out of sunscreen in January.
Totally.
No, yeah. They're not going to start the season, it sounds like, in Hawaii anymore. He didn't say Hawaii.
Or Bob Hope.
Yeah, those are gone. There's not going to be a sort of like ramp up to the season as there is now. Like we've always talked about on this show, it feels like there's 4 different starts to the golf season, right? Yeah. Like for some people it used to start at Kapalua. For some people it would start at Farmers because that was, then there was Sony, which was sort of the first full field event. Now it sounds like it's going to start with a bang. And it sounds like you think, it gun to your head, you would say it would probably be Pebble.
No, I think Phoenix has some structural advantages.
But they like being, I think, on Super Bowl Sunday. And if there's one tournament where maybe you could sacrifice a little bit of the TV for the on-site revenue, you would think that Phoenix would be the one.
But also, you don't have to play consecutive weeks. These guys aren't driving in station wagons from tournament to tournament. So if you want to start in Pebble in late January, skip Super Bowl week, come back the next week in Phoenix, why not?
That's actually such a good point. Like, there are no off weeks right now on the schedule.
Yeah.
None. There's none. Players take off weeks, but there's not a week where the PGA Tour just doesn't have a tournament.
There were universal bye weekend halfway through.
It's another thing that Rolapp talked about, and this is when I think about Brian Rolapp doing his first, meeting with people, and the thing that would probably surprise him the most is when he looks at a list of where the tournaments are, and there's just not that many big cities. Let's roll this next one.
Number 4, we are also looking closely at where we play. Today, the PGA Tour competes in only 4 of the top 10 largest U.S. media markets. That is an opportunity. We are evaluating markets like New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, San Francisco, Washington, D.C., Boston, and many others. Places where there is a strong fan demand for our sport and a chance to reach new fans.
This is like the most obvious layup one of all time. I've felt like I'm taking crazy pills the last couple of years. When I looked at the schedule, I looked at the schedule again today for this year. The playoff events are in Memphis, St. Louis, and Atlanta in the middle of August. It does your head in. It's because they've been so tied to like sponsor money forever. Maybe some of this SSG money, but also if you have a tournament in New York, you're going to attract more sponsors. It's an absolute no-brainer. Like how is the BMW or the Old Western Open not in Chicago anymore?
Well, that's a sad story, but yeah, I agree. And you know, again, the SSG money could solve problems. Like Pebble's always been in the winter because in the old days they couldn't fill up the resort, and there's short days. They didn't want to move it to the better weather months when they could squeeze in more golfers from the resort standpoint. It's like, guys, we're going to pick the best time for Pebble Beach. We'll give you an extra few $1 million to cover the lost revenue, and let's like do something that makes sense instead of playing at the worst possible week of the year.
Yeah.
And so, like, I hope that Rolapp just makes it rain and makes things, as you say, make sense. Like Memphis in August.
It's crazy. It's crazy, but I mean, yeah, it's like New York is an absolute no-brainer. Philly, with all the golf courses there, is an absolute no-brainer. Boston is an absolute no-brainer. San Francisco, there's so many iconic courses. It's an absolute no-brainer. The fact that they haven't done it yet, like if there is one thing that I would, in that off-the-record conversation that I would want to have with Jay Monahan, I would just be like, how the fuck were you guys not playing in New York and Chicago? Like, can you explain that to me like I'm 5 years old? Because sometimes it takes like a 5-year-old's outsider's perspective to shine a light. How are you guys not playing in New York and Boston?
I think the interesting thing about this one too is that Rolapp said he's not on social media. Yeah, this was the one that like, you probably see the most tweets about over the past 6 months. Is like, why are and we say it all the time. This is not the first time those cities have been brought up in this context.
Well, he's not on social media, but he thinks like a fan, and you know, fans are the ones who are on social media. So I don't think that he's on burner on golf Twitter, but I'm sure he has people who are and are giving him fan sentiment. And if you've done any sort of reading, you know that X is not necessarily representative of reality, but in the little golf world, you do get a little bit of a temperature, and so this is a total no-brainer. All right, the next one, Alan, you sort of hinted at this earlier, a nod to my English Premier League fandom. Let's roll this next one.
Brings me to number 5. We are evaluating the role of promotion and relegation between these two tracks within our competitive model. An added element that we would bring to life in the second track of events I described earlier. What we envision is a merit-based system that leans into what makes professional golf so compelling. Players earning their way to the top, with every event having greater meaning.
This one to me seems like the hardest one to figure out. Do you lock the tours at the beginning of the year, which is what they do in the Premier League, right? Like if you're in the Premier League and you're a second division team, just because you've won your first 10 games doesn't mean that you go to the next level. Right now, they do almost sort of have this. I mean, like a Joel Damon's a good example. A guy who played his way into Bay Hill, kind of playing your way into the A Tour. But the way they're describing it, I feel like it's not going to be like that. And when they talk about the consistency of fields, I feel like there is going to be a set 120, maybe a couple spots, like 2 or 3. But then it's just the same thing that it is right now with like the Aeon Swing 5.
Exactly, and we already have a Corn Ferry. Like if we're going season by season, I would love for them. And again, this is if you want to go to some smaller markets, like the week before one of these events, go to, I don't want to pick on the John Deere, but a place like that, and the top 10 finishers are automatically in the next week for the elevated event. Something like that.
Turn the B events into Monday Qs, basically.
Exactly, because Monday qualifying was such a big deal. Shout out Ryan French, and then they took it away. Like this, it makes those events matter more, and you would get some guys off the couch who maybe are like, okay.
And it's also cleaner, right? Like the Aeon Swing 5, we do the watch along every Sunday, and we're trying to follow it, and it's to the last point. I mean, Joel was out by like 1.5 points, and then some guy made a bogey, and some guy made a birdie, and he was in and he was out. It's a lot cleaner if you say, okay, this is the tournament where the top 10 guys get into the next big tournament, and then there's no. If you're not on the A list, you got to finish in the top 10 in the next one that's preceding a big event.
I like the rolling method way better than cutting it off at the beginning of the season and cutting it off, because then you get guys able to like play their way into those up, and automatically they're in a signature event the next week.
I mean, there's different ways to do it, but you want to capture the hot player, and also you want the Cinderella story. Like, there's so many reasons to do it, and if you have to go from 120 to 123 because there's a 4-way tie for 10th, who cares? Like, it's all artificial caps anyway. Like,
I think if you're a tour player, you probably don't like the idea of it rolling and being that way, because you could fall backwards.
Yeah,
pretty
totally.
Easily,
yeah, if you qualify, I mean, that's top 50 are locked in now, right? The top 50 get into all the signature events, even if they finish last in every single one. So there probably will be some reward. Maybe like you make it to the Tour Championship, and you're in all of them, or a certain cutoff, you're in all of them. But Yeah, the more I think about it, like, so much of this discussion about the future of the tour has centered on other sports, right? What does the NFL do? They create scarcity. What does the English Premier League do? They do promotion and relegation. But it's not one-to-one, right? And you can't just, like, turn your nose at the history of golf. And, like, there always have been sort of pathways for the hot player to become, like, a star really, really quickly. And that's probably one of the strengths of the PGA Tour. So, yeah, I kind of do see, like, not having it be a close shot year after year.
Yeah, I mean, that's Patrick Reed's whole life. He qualified 5 out of 7 Mondays and launched his entire career. Like, that doesn't exist right now, and that's a loss for the PGA Tour.
All right, the last part of Rolapp's famous 6-point presentation is this clip right here. Let's roll it.
Number 6, we are exploring ways to enhance the postseason. We are considering the potential integration of match play, either at the Tour Championship or across the postseason as a whole. Now, I can't emphasize this enough. Nothing has been finalized. We expect to make more meaningful progress by this summer. Some elements could be addressed sooner for next season, with more significant change likely to be implemented for the 2028 season.
The thing about match play is it is the format that most golfers play. It turns every hole into make or break. You have a putt to win the hole, to tie the hole on every single hole. The problem with match play is that you can get some duds in the finale. The good thing about starting from scratch is you could make some weird fucking rules up, or maybe it's, you play multiple, or you play a match where it's like a gross match. But I do like the idea of head-to-head, especially when they have like $18 million or whatever it is. If you had, Rory playing Scotty for $18 million, that would be awesome. And the purist is going to say, well, that's not the format that they play all year. Well, an NFL team, if they lose a game, they're not eliminated. Like, right. Stuff changes when you get to the playoffs. They have a lot of work to do with the playoffs. The first is getting out of St. Louis, Memphis, and Atlanta as the 3. And hopefully those are like, New York, Boston, and maybe finishing at Riviera. There's been a lot of talk about Riviera moving later in the year so the conditions are a little bit better. But I have advocated for match play just because, everyone loves the Ryder Cup. That is match play. Everyone at home plays match play. And I don't have a problem with changing the format for a playoffs. Playoffs are supposed to be a different format. What do you think?
Yeah, you could flip the match play. Usually, in like the USGA events, you have a couple days of stroke play to qualify for match play. You could do it backwards. You could have 128 guys who start in match play, and it's just survive and advance. And you get down to maybe 16, and they all play on Sunday for the whole pot.
Yeah.
And then at least you're guaranteed to get more top players. And if we're going to give it a rethink, then give it a rethink.
100%, and that's where I think Rolapp again. I mean, we're doing a lot of Rolapp glazing, but I think he did a really good job, and also he's just benefiting from not being the other guy, which is coming in but I don't think he gives a shit that it's a different format. I think he's saying, how do we add juice to this?
Yeah, it's spicy at the end of the year to switch it up.
Yeah, there's enough 72-hole stroke play events. Like, it would definitely add intrigue.
Exactly. Especially by August, we've watched 21 at that point, right?
Yeah,
20.
We're good.
Yeah, we're good on those. All right, that's our little Brian Rolapp Future of the Tour segment. We're going to move now to a bunch of press conference clips. We're going to start with Colin Morikawa. So Colin has played pretty well here, but not great. But all the sort of touts have said, this is a great course for Colin. This is a great course for Colin. And his answer to this question about playing this golf course is a reminder to me of just how hard this sport is to predict. Let's roll this one.
Yeah, I think it's impossible, and you never know the mindset of going into the week for some guys. You never know what tee shots guys feel more comfortable on. I mean, there's holes out there that, I'll give you an example. Like one at Augusta, everyone would think like it's a perfect fader of a hole, right? I mean, dogleg right, aim left, hit it right. I never hit that fairway. Like I think it's one of the most uncomfortable tee shots for me. Not because of like where you're at, but I just have never gotten comfortable with aiming at a certain tree or a certain part. So I think, on paper it's nice. You want courses to fit your golf game because that gives you maybe a slight edge. But you really have to figure out where you're going to attack this golf course, where you're going to play smart, because some holes might feel uncomfortable and might feel more comfortable where you have to take advantage.
Yeah, golf is not played on a spreadsheet as much as a lot of people would lead you to believe. Just because a hole turns left or right doesn't mean that the fader is always going to hit it. Colin, this season has been a very clear tale of before his appearance on Dan on Golf and after his appearance on Dan on Golf. He had a miscut and tie for 54th, and I think he's gone to win 5th, 7th since. But, Alan, can you remind? I think he's going to win this week. People have been asking me for my pick. I'm taking Colin Morikawa. That's official. We thought this guy was, he won 2 majors in his first 8 tries, and there was been a dip, but he bounced back obviously at your tournament at Pebble Beach. What'd you make of him?
COVID majors.
They don't count?
They count, but it's like LeBron winning a championship in the bubble.
Like Bam's 83 points yesterday, like major asterisk.
But no, I mean, obviously Colin's world class. And this is like a little fiddly finesse golf course. So, you know, if you on certain golf courses, Rory has a massive advantage because he can clear bunkers at 360 that Colin can't take on. This is not that kind of week. So I mean, it is a great venue for him, but he has to get out of bed feeling the right way on Thursday, and the wind's got to be just right, and he has to like his outfit. And
Are you saying that he's a little finicky himself?
He can't get in an argument with his wife over the oatmeal. Like, you know, anything could happen.
Those oatmeal fights, man.
So it's too lumpy. You need a little more almond milk.
I do think that this week is going to be a big hit the fairway week. I mean, I've been looking at the rough. It seems really, really juicy, and I think, you know, we've seen every winning score, I think, has been 15 under par or lower this year. The average score is like, you know, 19 under. I think the players to continue to elevate itself as a tournament, and whether they kind of backed off the whole major talk in that press conference, which is interesting. You have this like super overhanded, like, well, this is a major, and then you have a chance to defend it, and you're like, it wasn't.
He totally walked it back.
I didn't mean that.
He was like, the marketing team's pretty good, huh?
But I think it's going to play a lot more tough this year because I think they want it to feel like a big golf tournament. I don't think they want, you know, the lead to be 9 under par tomorrow.
No, I mean, when Duval won here at around even par, that was awesome. Like, and these greens are really firm.
They're firm. It's
you can
been
hear
hot.
the ball landing, which is unusual in Florida. So, I mean, there may be some rain coming in. Hopefully, they can keep this place crispy because it is a really fun test when it is.
It's a great golf course. I'm excited to watch. Tommy Fleetwood is here. He did not have a good week last week. Finished 49th at Bay Hill. Turns out he is traveling mostly on his own. Let's roll this clip.
No, they're still in Dubai at the moment. I think, it's been a strange time. I can honestly say that my family have been very, very safe. I think the UAE, the country, have done a unbelievable job at making everybody feel very safe and very secure and handling that. So I think we feel very lucky there. You know, they're supposed to travel like soon, so I think they're looking at traveling whenever they can. But the main thing has been that they are safe.
I am in awe. Having gone to Dubai for 2 days, I am just in awe that he does that he lives in Dubai and plays golf over here, because it took me about a week and a half to adjust. But I'm a delicate flower.
You are. He needs a tax shelter more than you do.
Yeah,
I mean that's why everybody moves to Dubai. It's not like that great a place, but it's just
it's got warm weather, you know. So for them,
so does California.
It does.
No one's moving there.
Isn't it amazing? Except for Patrick Rogers, we have a tour player who moved to California, which is very, very rare.
Yeah, Francesco Molinari.
There you go. It's Patrick Rogers is the nicest guy in the world. I've said I think he's too nice. Yeah, he moved. He was living in Jupiter. He moved to Palo Alto. I said, why? He said, you know, my kid got into a good preschool. I said, fuck your kids, bro. You're playing on the big tour. Like, what are you doing? But yeah, hopefully Tommy's family can get out of there. His wife Claire is a really lovely person, also his manager. And again, as I said, Rory tweaking his back, not a big deal. A family not being able to travel because of a geopolitical nightmare, actually a big deal. Speaking of the March's major campaign, Justin Thomas, you know, you talked about a lot in your book how Rory assumed the mantle of spokesman of the PGA Tour. JT was pretty like vocal out there as well. So you would think maybe he would sort of fall in line with this, and he's a players champion, so that would bring his total up to 3. Not so. Let's roll this clip from JT's presser.
What was your reaction to the new tagline of March is going to be major?
Probably the same thing everybody else's was.
Can you elaborate?
I don't think I need to.
You've been saying a lot, Alan, that the press is who decides what a major is. I don't know if it's ever going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen because we collectively will not allow it. We're the gatekeepers. We are the keepers of the flame. So the players will never be a major as long as I'm alive.
But why did they change in the past? Like, are we just we've reached a point in humanity where we've actually made decisions that we're going to stick on?
You know, when Gene Sarazen won the Masters in 1935, no one pounded him on the back. It's like, congratulations on your first major, Gene. Like, it takes time, and things evolve. You know, the British Open was not considered a big deal until Arnie started going there in 1960. I mean, I think the year that when Jack won his first British Open, I think there were only 7 or 8 other Americans in the field. Like, so these things take time.
It's more established now.
Yeah, it has to happen organically, but like, we're good. We got 4. Like, we're good.
Yeah.
We don't need to tack on, you know, an island green in Florida. It's just
don't diminish this golf tournament. This is a great golf tournament.
It's definitely the 5th best.
It's the 5th.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I would say it's not. I said this on Monday's show. It's not a major There's 4 majors, so historically it might not have the same weight, but it's the 4th best tournament. It's a better tournament than the PGA Championship. You can't tell me it's not. And one of the reasons is, I've been saying this, they had 25 club professionals in the PGA, it's too many. They have 20, it's too many. It should be like 5.
I'm on board with that. It depends year to year. I mean, the PGA at Aronimink is going to be sweet. Like, it's very venue specific. PGA
Aronimink really is getting you going?
I love it.
Getting me going, yeah.
Well, you're
a PGA at Bellerive.
Yeah.
But no, this is a fabulous tournament. But in this era of great inflation and everything else, like
you get a major and you get a major.
Exactly.
Everything is inflated and hyperbolic.
Everything's inflated. Like, there's no shame in being the flagship event of the PGA Tour. That's a great thing. The build out here is phenomenal. The fan experience, we love the golf course. Everything about this is fantastic. And by trying to be something they're not, it's like, like a 6-year-old dude squeezing into like skinny jeans. Like, it just doesn't work.
Okay. Yeah.
I think there was. I wrote about this when the first announcement came out, or the first marketing campaign. But like, there's not a world that we don't live in the world right now where we could penetrate this discourse. Like, it's never, like you said, it's never going to go through. So why would we even have the conversation in this day and age when there was a time probably 30, 40 years ago where we could have had this conversation, or 20 years ago, but
things
right
are too
now,
established.
It's too, like, even if 80% of the electorate, us in the media, decide like, let's stamp it a major, there's still going to be 20% of people that fight us to the death. You'll be on that 20% fighting us until the end. The discourse won't survive. Like, it will never become official. There's not a way to make it official, so it will never become official.
Give me the pitchfork. And also, like, I mean, the LPGA, they used to have something called the Du Maurier. It was considered a major because a cigarette company put a bunch of money into it and had the biggest purse. It just went away. It's gone. Like, the LPGA had like 7 different majors. It becomes a joke, and it diminishes the ones that really matter.
So I think one of the more interesting parts of the press conference was someone asked, how do you feel about the PGA Tour not owning the 5 biggest tournaments or the 5 biggest properties in golf, being the 4 majors and the Ryder Cup? And he said, all of those majors, it was a very sort of, I would say, under the table sort of jab. All of those tournaments are based on the success of professional golf. And he said, I think there should be more collaboration. What do you think about the idea of the PGA Tour forming some sort of joint venture? Because he said all of these tournaments are funded, all these organizations are funded by one tournament. What do you think about the PGA Tour forming a joint venture with the PGA of America and sort of co-opting, instead of buying outright, but co-opting the PGA Championship and the Ryder Cup? They'd have 2 of the 5 immediately. They would probably pump a bunch of money into the PGA. Like, wouldn't that be a good use of the SSG money?
I like it. And the problem with the Ryder Cup, and the reason why the U.S. team is so hapless, is because the structure of the PGA of America, like every 2 years, some rando club pro becomes president, and he comes up with some harebrained idea, like, let's get Tom Watson out of the rafters, or how about Keegan? We haven't even talked to him. Oh yeah, great. Like, it's just an unserious organization, and it shows in how they conduct their captain searches, and why the U.S. always loses. Yeah. Like, if the tour was running, it'd be a lot more buttoned up. There would be more continuity, more institutional knowledge. Like, I'm super on board for that.
Yeah, I think that's what would be a really, really good use. I can't help the mowers behind us. There's nothing I can do about it. Alex has been shaking his head like a disappointed grandfather.
I mean, you're watching the first round of the Players Championship get set up right behind us. They're putting the Thursday pins in right here.
Yeah, the amount of people that work on this golf course is certainly major championship level. I'll say that much. It's probably a good time to kick to a clip. So, there's been a lot of talk about Jon Rahm and about him not wanting to pay, or maybe not necessarily not wanting to pay, but not wanting to sort of abide by the rules set forth by the DP World Tour. Justin Rose was asked about that. Let's roll this clip so I can.
He did it and John didn't. So, I mean, there's pretty decent precedent that the deal wasn't outrageous that they were proposing, but at the same time, I'd like to see John pay his fines for sure and be a part of the Ryder Cup. For me, obviously, playing on LIV was a decision that he made and wanted to make, and fair play to him for making it, and good for him. He's playing good golf out there, he's winning, he's making a lot of money, and he's, you can't argue and you can't knock what he's been able to achieve out there. So I would just see it as a cost of doing business for John. Like, for me, being in the Ryder Cup is more than about money. What I would say where he may have a point is the tour making him play extra events. Maybe he has a point there. So maybe there's some middle ground where, he do his best to support the tour as and when, but not necessarily have that hung over his head. But paying his fines is obviously step number 1.
What Rom has said is I would pay the fines. It's about those 2 extra events. So I have an idea. We can make this all go away. Pay a little bit of extra money. You have $1 gazillion. Take the $1 million for one event. You pay $2 extra $1 million. They pump that into the purse. Everybody's happy. What's your take? We haven't had you on really to talk about the Rom situation.
By the way, it's just a leaf blower. It's not even a mower.
Okay,
it's so extra.
It's called be a professional.
They're blowing the sand out of the rough outside.
I like that Rom has this principled stance, and I like that he's so passionate and that he won't back down. I kind of admire these qualities, but he's just picked the wrong fight. Like, it's not a serious thing. You went to live golf. You completely sold out. Like, you sold your soul. So now don't be self-righteous. Like, if you want to be part of things that matter, like the Ryder Cup, make it happen, John. Like, he's just picked the wrong hill to die on.
But at the same time, why do you guys think the DP World Tour is not changing, like just negating 2 events and saying, fine, you can just do 2?
Because then they have to do it for the rest of the guys. They put a set of rules. They probably thought he was going to say yes. They're offering an olive branch. Is that right? Olive branch? That's
well played.
They're offering him an olive branch, and they probably think this guy's got more money than God. I mean, he just won another $4 million. He's finished second in the other. His earnings for this year is probably already like $10 million or something like that. Just pay. If you have to pay a little extra money, just pay a little extra money. Just make this thing go away. And it's a little bit of like, there's a little bit of a rift in the European team, it seems like.
Yeah.
Rory's like, just do it. Justin Rose is like, just do it. Figure it out. And Rory said, we all said we would pay to play in the Ryder Cup. The Americans got hammered for wanting money and that whole money conversation. And Rom is bringing that dynamic into the European team room. And if I'm the rest of his teammates, I'm like, just fucking do it. Just pay
Did you see
up.
what Monty said this afternoon?
No.
He said they can win without him. So there's definitely a rift happening.
No,
right
there's a rift in the European team room that Rom is causing. And I understand what you said. He wants to be principled, but at what cost?
Well, there you go. And they can win without him, but it becomes a lot harder. I mean, the guy is just the raging bull of the Ryder Cup. Like, you need Jon Rahm. He is such a difference maker, and he has a presence, and he's been one of their team leaders now for the last 2 to 3 Ryder Cups. So
there's more than golf that he brings to the table.
That changes the calculus if he's not on that team, for sure.
Yeah, but there is a rift. At least right now, it could probably be repaired. But there's a little bit, one of the reasons that they've been so successful is this incredible brotherhood, and now you've got something in the middle.
I think it's just gone on too long for them.
Yeah,
get over it.
But we were talking off camera about, in my book, I get into the Graham McDowell, Rory McIlroy rift when they couldn't even play a practice round together in the Ryder Cup because they were suing each other essentially in this management dispute, and they still won that year. So it's finessable. If they get Rahm on the team, everyone's going to want him, and they'll be fine no matter what's preceded it.
So Rory McIlroy is the defending champion, but the 2 Players' Championships before those were won by Mr. Scotty Scheffler. Now, Scotty Scheffler had a string of, I think, 18 or 19 top 10s in a row. That's been broken twice. He finished 12th at Riviera, and then he finished 24th at Bay Hill. And, of course, the scribes were out to get him. And, there's this misconception about Scotty that he's boring. He's fiery as hell, especially when you call out his golf game. I remember last week he was asked about, the first-round struggles. That was sort of the narrative because he had played a couple bad Thursdays in a row, and he said, well, last year I led the tour in round 1 scoring, round 2 scoring, round 3 scoring, and round 4 scoring, so I'm not really going to change the way I approach golf. Yeah. Today, Mark Cannizzaro from the New York Post, which, sometimes the outlet kind of leads the question, they want something juicy, asked him about, expectations and saying that suggesting that his season is not off to a good start. Let's see what Scotty had to say about that.
If you flipped my season around and it was like, okay, I finished, what did I finish last week, like 24th or something, 24th and 12th, and like 3rd and 4th in a win, would the question be the same? Your expectations of me are living week by week. My expectations of myself is almost more shot by shot. And so I think when you look at the perspective from the media is always trying to create a story, which can be a great thing. I think that's part of your job. But when it comes to my golf game and my expectations of myself, my expectations all are based around what I want for me mentally on the golf course is being committed to what I can do and controlling that aspect. And so far throughout this season, I've been really good in some spots, and then some other spots I feel like I can improve in terms of my commitment to the shot.
This was the professional way of saying, let me handle the golf and you handle the fucking everything else because, I got this.
Well, and also, Sky did not win a tournament last year until April, and then he blitzed the entire season. Like, the guy is dangerous every time he tees it up, obviously, and the ebbs and flows week to week matter not. But he's getting a little taste of what Tiger got. Tiger would go 3 starts out of win, and like people start calling out the slump. Tiger, comment on your slump. Like,
but never you never ask those questions.
No, I'm a real OG. Like, I would ask him important things about.
Do you think of yourself as like a rapper? Because you said today that you're a real OG. Earlier today, you said that you and an executive from the Waste Management rapped out.
He's an OG spitting bars over there.
Well, I see the baggy clothes you guys are wearing. It takes me back to like crisscross in my youth. Yeah.
We'll get you some manners gear.
But no, Scotty's a victim of his success, but I'm not worried about Scotty.
Okay, I'm not worried about Scotty either. Brooks Koepka is back at the Players' Championship for the first time in quite a few years. The 17th hole has ate his lunch historically. I think he's played it in like 10 over par. He's made a bunch of double bogeys. Was it 20 over? Yeah, so the 17th hole, he's going to have a little bit of extra juices flowing when he plays that hole. And they're asking him, he returned on that returning member program. We know that Patrick Reed is also coming back, not as part of the returning member program, but sort of a different program. And he was asked about, being a resource for guys who want to come back from LIV, and here's what he had to say.
After Phoenix, just wanted a little bit of a reset, and then my phone was blowing up. So just wanted to really focus in on preparation and dialing into golf. And I thought that was the best way, just kind of come unglued from the world for a half second, and where basically it was only my family, anybody that's golf related, really has my number right now, it's been kind of nice.
So that's why Brooks hasn't been responding to my texts, to all my emojis. No, actually, I've never had Brooks Koepka's number. I've never texted him. That was just a joke. But that's I feel like it's a flex in life to get to the point where you change your phone number. I've never done that. I have the same phone number since I was 12, and I had that phone that flipped both ways. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. No, it wasn't a sidekick. It was not a sidekick. The edgy kids had the sidekick. Well, what was the game, Bob? You ever played Bob on the sidekick? That was fun. No, I had the one that opened this way. It wasn't like the spinner. It opened this way and it opened this way. I don't remember what it was called. You ever change your phone number?
No, it's like your social security number. You can't change it, especially in our business. The real flex is not having a cell phone at all. Like Kanye didn't have one for years. It's just your assistant deals with all
couples, right?
Yeah,
I'm a creative. I keep my mind fresh.
Yeah. The funny thing about Brooks's, redemption tour is, he hates having to be a spokesman for all this stuff and all the unnecessary press conferences and all the platitudes. Like, he's screaming on the inside.
Yeah.
And so, but that probably hurts him more than the $5 million check he had to write.
Yeah.
It's like,
think all the fringe scrubs that were texting him, being like, "Dude, so happy for you!" Like, that just got his number randomly 3 years ago.
He was like,
that's why I changed his number.
He was like, "I just got a text from Patrick Rogers. I'm fucking out of here."
We love you.
I love Patrick. I love him so much. He's like my favorite player out here. A guy who's going to get a lot of love this week, and this is on a more serious note, is Gary Woodland. So Gary Woodland, there was a piece on Golf Live From, I think it was, where he was talking about his PTSD diagnosis, which is pretty fucking scary. Obviously, Gary had a growth in his brain that was impacting his personality. It was making him very fearful and very anxious. And then the story last year was, he came back, and I think people, the news cycle moves on so fast that you just think, oh, Gary's back, everything's back to normal. That's not how life works, Alan.
Well, I have a friend who went through something very serious, and he was diagnosed with PTSD, but he now calls it PTSI. It's not a disease, it's an injury. And his point is, if you hurt your knee, you get surgery, you rehab it. You hurt your brain, it also has to be rehabbed, and it has to be treated like an injury. But it's not part of the culture. It's not something that's frowned upon in the macho world of pro sports. People just they want to power through it. And Gary had those comments like, "I can't give up golf. I got to be out here no matter how hard it is." And my buddy was like, "I don't know, man. Like that's not the attitude. Like, you've got to." And so he texted me. He's like, "Tell Gary about this thing, something called EMDR, which is I've
heard of this.
Which is a
Justin
therapy
Rose was
use.
talking about this.
Yeah." And you're talking to a therapist, but they move their hand and you track it with your eyes, and it creates these new hemispheres between the brain. And it's a way it's been used for soldiers, it's been used for victims of sexual assault. Like, it's very effective. Like, I'm actually going to try and get Gary and tell him about this. He hasn't heard about it because it changed my buddy's life. And so hats off to Gary for making himself vulnerable. And he was already such a feel-good story, but this is a chance to really help people and even help himself.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch him play this week. I'm really happy that he's back out there, and always a really good guy, right? Like, I mean, you've
pure class. I mean, he's just been a gent from day one. He's always a go-to interview. Like, you can't not love Gary Woodland.
I think it can be kind of cliche to say, like, I'm talking about things because I want other people to feel like heard and seen, but Gary Woodland seems like the kind of guy that means it when you hear him say it, so I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, and what I found very interesting is, he talked about his sort of dedication to golf. His doctor said, ideally you would not be in this environment. Like ideally, you would not, playing golf. Brian Rolapp talked about it today. Having to make a putt for money or having to make a putt for your livelihood is an experience that very few people on the planet can relate to. It is deeply, deeply, deeply stressful. And if you were designing an environment that would not be good for someone who's dealing with stuff like this, it would be putting. But I think it's admirable that he doesn't want to give up.
Well, and also it's his routine. I think he would probably go a little crazy at home. Like these guys are used to being out on the road in this environment. It's where their friends are. It's where their support staff is. So I guess he just needs that familiarity.
It'd probably create some kind of identity crisis if he just pulled out the rug from underneath.
This guy's a major champion at Pebble Beach. He won the last one at Pebble Beach.
Yeah.
Never an easy thing to transition out of, but we are going to talk just very briefly about Jackson Coyven, the #1 amateur in the world. He won again. It was down the road. The Haight or the Hoyt, I can't remember. His third win in his last 4 starts. So he's only a junior still. And he had locked up his PGA Tour card through PGA Tour U Accelerated. So he could be playing on the PGA Tour right now full time. Decided to go back to Auburn. And yes, that decision is made easier by NIL money. He's got a Titleist deal. He's got some logos on his shirts. But the #1 amateur in the world is playing like the #1 amateur in the world. And one of the more exciting prospects we've seen, Alan.
Also, SEC sorority girls. I mean, he's having a great time.
I wasn't going to say it.
So, shout out.
Yeah, he's making a whole new argument for going back to school.
Yeah, I mean, I went to Auburn, the first college series that we ever did. That place is heaven. They've got, and college golf is just as good as it gets. It's like summer camp, but, instead of you being the best player, all your buddies are also +8s.
And as long as he's not bored and regressing, might as well ride it out. I mean, he's got a 20-year PGA Tour career in front of him. All the stress, all the scrutiny, all the second guessing. Like, I'm sure he's having a blast.
Yeah, and there's no guarantee. I mean, Luke Clanton came out a year early, and he's really struggling.
Yeah.
So, it's grass is not always greener. All right, Alan, we're going to switch you out for Rick. Rick.
This is an upgrade for the viewers.
What a great job. That was awesome. We went 15 minutes with you.
Yeah. It was great spitting with you out here.
Hey, bless up. Hey, tell your fam, okay? Good stuff.
You took it too far.
Okay. We're going to bring on Rick
Can I put an
Gaiman.
earpiece? Are we sharing an earpiece?
Yeah, give him the. Well, I don't think we need the earpiece anymore, but you can put it in. Okay. We're gonna do a very fun segment, a very very fun segment that we did the last couple majors. I think we did it for every major last year. It's called Random Player Generator. We've got a man here, Rick Gaiman, who knows more from a betting predictive standpoint than probably anyone. So you did some work for TaylorMade.
That was fun.
Yeah, what was that?
So TaylorMade reached out and they said, we like kind of the stats that you put together and you get really deep and our fans want to be really deep into it. So it was kind of just like an open book. It was like, go find us cool stuff about the players.
Turns out the
TPC Sawgrass.
Team TaylorMade does pretty well out here.
Yeah, they're pretty good, right?
Well,
so
they have. I mean,
when you're looking for Rory, Morikawa, Scotty, and Fleetwood, you find some cool stuff.
You find some good stats.
So yeah, they took the stats and they made it all look very, very pretty.
All right, we're going to do Random Player Generator. We're going to do a lot of guys. We're going to start from 110 to 120. And we're going to move all the way down. I'm going to get Rick's take or my take, and Ben's going to do a little random generator and give us a first guy.
Let's read them off. All right, the first random number is 114 here. So let's see who's 114.
It's going to be like Sudarshan Yella
It's the man with my favorite flow in the game right now, Garrick Higo.
Is he in the field?
Yeah, so I'm out here. He was wearing gold shorts or yellow shorts.
So we had a big debate, Ben and I, whether that hair was bleached or whether that was just a South African summer. I said South African summer. Ben said it's definitely bleached. Probably not the kind of analysis that you normally do.
I will break the tie and say South African summer.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah,
you think the models are saying that, Rick?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's like 60-40.
What do we know about Garrick Higo? I mean, I know he's a Sean Foley guy.
Yeah, he played a lot better at the end of the fall. He's really struggled with his game to put anything together over the course of the last couple months. 2026 hasn't been nice to him. Probably would have liked to have just kept playing at the end of the fall. And there's such an immense talent in there.
He won. He used to win tournaments a lot. I remember when he was like 19, and then he won out. I remember he won in Congaree very early in his career.
He won back-to-back on DP World Tour, came right over here, won at Congaree. I think it was his first start over here. Got him into the U.S. Open. I think it was 2020. It was during COVID. It was kind of a weird schedule. And then he just, he played well last year, but just the inconsistencies are something that he has to work out of his game. He makes too many big numbers. This is
not the spot for him.
This is a place you could lose a lot of golf balls.
Okay, next one.
Next one's 107, 106, which is Keegan Bradley.
Keegan's off to a very slow start this year.
Yeah, and I think my eye test take here is that a lot of last year was him being lifted up by the Captain Keegan chants everywhere and really grinding over everything. Now that is kind of behind him and 2026 has started, it hasn't been good.
It's an adrenaline dump.
It's an adrenaline dump. He was already pretty reliant on being a really sharp approach player. It's not that he's old, but he's on the tail end of his career. Like, absolutely he is. Starts to lose that distance control, and the rest of his game isn't strong enough to make up for it.
Yeah, I feel for him. He's a really good dude, and he put his heart and soul into that Ryder Cup, and he has a toxic relationship with the Ryder Cup.
He'd be a pretty great Players Champion, though. Like, if you pulled it out this way.
It would be
fantastic.
It would be fantastic. It would be feel good, but the game is not in the best shape. All right, what's our next one?
95, a guy you spent time with today, Adam Schenk.
He won in the fall.
Yeah, one of the wildest wins.
Yeah, he was hitting punch shots from 140 yards with a 4-iron. He was hitting purposeful ground balls.
He was putting with one hand.
Still does it.
Yeah.
Another guy who he got his win in the fall, but this golf course is a lot for him.
You just can't fake it.
Yeah.
You just can't be putting one-handed because you're not confident.
Wow.
And there's just a lot that's wrong there.
So you're saying the one-hand putting is some Bermuda shit?
Yeah. Like, you get away with that, and you're flushing it, and you're slinging it. There is some the getting to Bermuda and having it blow like 30 frees you up in some senses, right? Like, you don't have to just stand there and hit range shots. You can just go out there and play golf, and I think that really helped him that week. But he was even holding that victory together with like sticks in air. We're holding that thing together. So this is just
like gum in that mix.
I know, this is just a really tough spot for him. His game is not very good.
All right, next
up we have none other than
what number?
We're in the 80s now, so 82 is William Mao.
What do you know about Willie Mao? He won, didn't he?
He had an opposite field win, right? Okay, so William Mao is the type of guy who I think is weird. He kind of has like a higher floor, but like a low ceiling.
Interesting.
I bet you finishes T41 this week.
Okay.
Like, that's like exactly where I expect William Mao. Yeah, he's very competitive in some of the weaker fields. When he gets into some of these stronger fields, I'm not going to say he's in over his head. We haven't seen that much of him yet, but he is going to grow into competing in a lot of these fields. He's just not there quite yet. But much more optimistic than the other guys.
Yeah, we're moving up the rankings. That's how it works.
Yeah, a little bit more of I don't know if you call him an A-lister. You guys let me know. Wyndham Clark at 72.
I would say he's an A-lister. I saw an interview with Kay Adams that was
box office.
Okay, we'll go with box office.
I loved it. I thought that was very entertaining.
Yeah, he was talking about he's switching drivers, he's switching putters.
She was box office.
Kay was box office. Wyndham, I'm putting in one hit wonder. I'm putting him on one hit wonder watch. Just putting him on one hit wonder watch.
That is, I think, fair. He is statistically he's. Kind of bottom of the barrel in this field, especially with how he's been playing recently. He hits the ball with more curve than any player on the PGA Tour.
Is that right? And it's one direction.
Left to right.
He plays a big old slice.
Always left to right.
Yeah.
The only playing one shot around here and having that be a big curve is a little bit scary. There's a lot of tee shots that are not going to fit him. There's a lot of water lurking that is going to suck up his ball. Plus the fact that he is trying every driver and trying every putter under the sun is a guy looking for something, and he hasn't found it.
Yeah, I think his Netflix episode was all about how he's figured it out mentally. I would love a follow-up episode.
Let's get a follow-up.
I think it'd be box office.
Yeah. Chad? Okay, 61. Stefan Jaeger, a guy I love.
Oh, this dude's electric. Okay,
electric.
This dude
Very
is
good.
like wouldn't be surprised if he was the first round leader. Wouldn't be surprised if he had some 9-hole stretch where he shoots a 30.
So he gets hot.
Super hot. Yeah, super hot. He goes on these stretches. He piles up birdies. Like, in my world, there's so many markets for weeks like this. Like, there's the birdie or better market. They'll usually set the line at like 3.5 or 4.5 or something like that. Like, he can heat up like a microwave. He just has to do it over the course of 4 days. But he is love his game, and you're going to see him do some pretty cool stuff. He's
you
just
like
not
the way he dresses too, don't you?
I like his the way he walks, his disposition, the way
cool
he dresses.
Dude.
Yeah, he
looks
looks
really
like
cool.
a guy out there.
And
Him
a lot of
Chris
other guys
Goddard
seem to
up there,
like
just
him
guys.
a lot too.
Okay.
He gets rave reviews from his peers.
All right, next one.
51. Almost the co-host of the show, Joel Damon.
Okay.
I think it's a good golf course for Joel. I think he's playing well. It's you got to hit it in the fairway with how long the rough is. He missed the cut last week at Bay Hill, which I don't hate. He's probably a little bit fresher than he would be. He's been playing a lot of golf so far this year. I think he has a 12th and an 11th place finish in this event. So I kind of like Joel's chances.
Is the Joel Gino reunion worth anything?
We didn't even talk about the Gino situation.
Is it worth a half a stroke?
I feel like it might be worth half a stroke. Yeah. But he was saying the absence grows fonder, and like when you're not seeing each other every week, like the things that piss you off, or that not piss you off,
the
but
frustrations,
the annoying things, the things that are lurking are gone, and I think the vibes are going to be immaculate out there.
It's a good course for him because what you said, he plays out of the fairway, and there's a big penalty for missing the fairway here. we knew that statistically coming in, being here. It's, this rough started at 4 inches on Monday or Sunday night, and they're not going to touch it for the rest of the week. There is like a half a stroke improvement for hitting the fairway, and then he's pretty dialed with his irons. Like, he's a very good approach player. He just really has to get his way around here. Don't 3-putt any of these greens. Like, I think top 20 is in his ceiling. I think there's some good. I think there's some good play.
Yeah, it's not a place you can really overpower.
No, and if he misses fairways, he's absolutely cooked. But like that, that's the through line. He's got to play.
Has to drive it well.
Has to drive it well.
Is there any finish for him, or would a win convince you guys that they should stay together maybe and try it again?
Oh man,
I mean,
a $4.5 million check.
If he won the Players Championship for by far the second win, and by far his first non-opposite field event win, I think yes, they would probably stay.
They would have to.
I think recreating that magic, you find the sauce if they win, right?
They would have
recreate
to.
that.
Or at least
Poor
run a couple
Isaiah
months out there and see what happens.
Isaiah Salinda's in the cuck chair this week. He's just hoping that it doesn't happen.
44, Harris English.
Oh, I walked with Harris English today.
Tell me, what'd you see?
He's got one of the greatest golf swings.
It's very simple.
So easy, effortless power. He tends to play a lot better when conditions are hard. He is not
a U.S. Open doctor a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he won at Torrey. He is not a premier birdie maker, but he is a premier bogey avoider.
Kind of stay in the fight kind of guy.
Yes. Go par a golf course to death. Take advantage of the par fives and see what your score you have after 4 rounds. That's the way Harris English is going to get it done. It's going to be like 3 birdies and a bogey every day, 8 under. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
But love his game. Harder the better for him.
Cool. Next.
Number 36, Austin Smotherman.
Brotherman. One good week, basically.
Not brother.
One good result. What's he played 5 or 6 times? All good statistical profiles.
Okay.
It's Colin Morikawa, Austin Smotherman, somebody else I'm forgetting, who are gaining at least a stroke per round on approach this year.
Okay.
That's a big deal. And he was doing that. He played well on the Korn Ferry Tour. When he was going back and forth between the tours, he would always be a flusher. The one good result came from putting kind of the short game stuff into it, playing with a lot of confidence. He did have that WD, was it last week?
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of an injury situation.
That seems to be no worries, very Actually, I think it was an illness. I think a little tummy ache.
Okay.
I don't think it was a back.
It's a hell of a long way from the heart,
It is.
As Herb Brooks would say.
It is.
All right, next.
28, Harry Hall.
Rolls his rock.
One of the best in the world.
Yeah.
One of the best in the world.
But you can't, you got to do more than roll your rock out here.
You are going to have to do more than roll your rock. He's pretty good with his wedges, but he is a little loose off the tee. He would need a very magical... So when Cam Smith won this, he gains 10 strokes putting, and it was one of the best in shot link history. I think he lost strokes off the tee. No other profile for guys that have had success here look like that. Harry Hall would have to do that.
You'd have to have a Cam Smith week.
An absolute Cam Smith putting week.
All right,
number 17 is our penultimate guy here. Number 17, Saad Tagala.
Very positive. I love the way he's been playing the last couple of weeks. The tee to green game looks like it's tight, and he has,
which has been the issue. I mean, he's had some big misses in there,
huge misses. But since he's been healthy, since Pro Core, it's been a lot better. He did. He was a little reliant. He chipped in a couple times last week, which always. I mean, that's a good thing and it's a bad thing, right? It's you kind of stole a couple, but he's a very good chipper and pitcher anyway, so it's not super crazy when he chips in. So there's a little bit of regression coming, but I think that he is very capable of finishing inside the top 12. I don't think he can win this golf tournament, but he can get a really good finish out there.
You know what? I decided let's do 2 more. Let's do 10 through 5.
Okay.
And then let's do 5 through 1.
I want you guys to talk about Jake Knapp. He was the next one. So
I walked a bit with Jake Knapp today, too.
I walked with Jake Knapp, too.
Oh, did you? We missed each other.
Yeah. He looked great.
Here's the thing with Knapp. So I think there is a good... I think I'd prefer you hit it low off the tee here. You can, 6 with the tree?
Yeah.
That's not even an issue for Jake Knapp. He probably doesn't even know that tree exists. And also, you get a lot of run out on these greens when you can hit it, or on these fairways when you can hit it low like this. So he's already long enough, and he is able to get the most out of all of these fairways. The T11 run that he's on goes across Waialae and Torrey and just all these different venues. This might be one of the better setups for him.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, 4-inch thick rough, 5-inch thick rough, not going to be a problem for Jake Knapp.
Yeah.
He is so talented, and for being a long hitter, his short game is so good.
And not just his short game, his wedges. So I think a lot of time there's stereotypes with these big long hitters that they just hit it high and rip it out. He has all the shots. He'll hit little cut ones in there. He'll hit little draw ones in there. I've talked to Jake a lot throughout the years, and he said, I've always known that my best can compete with anyone. It's about bringing that more consistently. He started to work with Boyd Summerhays now as a new coach. Yeah. Maybe a little bit of a new coach bump. I don't hate a little outright on Jake this week.
So he's very popular in one and done markets this week. Yep. Because there's concerns about, for the first time ever, there's like concerns about Scotty and concerns about Rory at the same time. So people are frantically
this is the biggest money event. So for one and done, this is huge.
He also had a back last week.
Yeah, but
he did. But he played 9 holes Monday, 9 holes Tuesday. I think he played another 9 today. Talked to him. Looks good. Sounds good. Everything seems fine. Yeah.
That would be I think he is one big win away from being like an actual superstar. Like he's one of the few guys who jumps off the screen with the looks, with the tattoos, with the biceps, with the golf swing.
Dude.
Like if he were to win this week, it would immediately elevate him into that sort of like Ludwig Victor, where they're not necessarily Scotty Scheffler or Rory McIlroy, but they're that next tier.
He is a must. Like if you're on the grounds, like must watch. Like, you have to see the swing in person.
It's crazy to see. I mean, I'd say it all the time. It looks like he's decelerating.
Well, he's one of the few guys where I mean, maybe if you're like a super trained eye or a PGA professional, you can do this. He's one of the few guys where I feel like you can tell just by the swing if he's trying to cut it or if he's trying to fade it. Because it's like a slow motion move through it looks like he's slowing down. I saw him hit 2 of the most beautiful. I saw him on that 6 hole today. He was hitting 3-wood under the tree. It was just, and everyone from behind the greens is like, ooh.
He hit a mini driver off 7, took a little divot, and this thing was just like as pure as could be, right down the middle, rolled out 35 yards. Like, he's got all of the shots.
We did it on the bag with him. We took him to like kind of a resorty type course. He shot 31, no problem. He was hitting mini driver 330. It was just like, holy,
it's stupid.
He's one of those guys where you play against him, you're like, how the fuck am I going to beat this guy? All right,
our last guy is Chris Gotterup, another Apex King. So, Rick, based on your analysis, he's probably pretty good off the tee here.
Apex King, keeps it low, gets the run, very similar to what Daniel Berger tried to do last week. I love Chris Gotterup. He's also a guy
Sounds like you don't love Chris Gotterup that much.
I've got a problem. Does everything well. He's in the afternoon wave. We haven't really talked about this.
Well, talk to me about it.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get a legit wave advantage
It's supposed to rain and windy in the afternoon tomorrow?
And it's almost perfectly aligned with the afternoon wave on Thursday, and then it goes overnight into Friday morning, and then as soon as those guys from Thursday morning get out on Friday afternoon, wind goes away. Now, it's Florida, the forecast changes all the time, but I think we're going to get a legit wind wave. It's going to gust 35 tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You don't want to play this course with all the water and that kind of wind, but he does have the low one to kind of get through it. So if there's a guy who could sort of fight the uphill battle,
there's also a trend going with early, late, early winners. I think most of them have been late, early, except for Scotty and Rory.
I don't know. I hate those.
I wondered how you feel about that.
That's just variance, right?
It's just complete flipping coins,
especially when weather gets involved.
It doesn't make any sense. The year JT won, he came out of the bad weather wave. There was a massive wave advantage, 2 shots or something.
It can be done.
It can be done. He's probably the best guy to do it, but I am a little bit worried about the splits.
All right, before I let you go, I want to ask you about Scotty Scheffler.
Okay.
We had a little angsty exchange that we showed where a guy asked him about a slump, not a slump, but said this season hasn't gotten off to the start that you want. He's like, what are you talking about?
Right.
How do you feel about him this week? 2-time champion out here.
I think that, so it is true that he is not as good as he was. I mean, he's losing a stroke on approach to himself.
That's what I thought was I think you tweet something about the approach play, which was he's been top the last couple years.
And 2026 he is tour average. Tour average is good for half the players.
Yeah.
It's not good for Scotty Scheffler. It's about a stroke worse per round. He's still good enough to get a win out of it, a couple other top 10 finishes, and no finish worse than T24. The thing that has me most optimistic about Scotty, obviously great place for him. He is the best in-game adjuster, and he fixes things very quickly. You see it a lot we've seen it a lot this year from Thursday to Friday.
Yeah.
Right? He can go to the range and he can just get the grip right.
It's always so simple.
And it's always so simple he can get back to his baseline. So that's what has me really optimistic about Scotty this week, is he's literally 1 range session away from being back to Scotty Scheffler.
It would be absolutely no surprise if he shot 65 and had the lead going to tomorrow.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? You could stay in the chair. We only got one segment left, and Ben's going to do it. Before, I want to talk to you guys about Knockaround sunglasses, the best sunglasses in the game. We had dinner last night with the Knockaround folks. Jeff, Andy, Suzanne. What a crew they are. What a crew they are. Just love those guys. Love the sunglasses. These sunglasses are such good quality. It is idiotic, I would say, to spend $150, $200, $300 on sunglasses when these are the better, if not better, they're better. I'm going to say better again. They're better quality than the other ones. And we have a promo code for you. If you go to knockaround.com/golf, use the promo code DANONGolf20, you get 20% off these sunglasses. Ben, You're going to take us home with some fashion talk.
Yes, sir. Okay, this is a new segment. It's going to be every Wednesday on our Wednesday show. Back in my Esquire days, we would call this style lessons from celebrities in photos. Okay. This is going to be called Golfers Wearing Clothes.
I like
our new Wednesday segment.
What an amazing title.
Right on the nose.
How'd you come up with that?
Golfers Wearing Clothes. It is what it is. Every week we're going to point out one good lesson, something you can learn from, one thing not to do, something bad, and then an archival piece that still hits today. So we're going to kick it off with our good guy this week. This is from last week, but he was wearing such a Players Championship coated polo that I wanted to call Ludwig Aubert. This blue and gold striped rugby polo is, you don't really see a lot of this out on tour. You probably see a lot in the amateur game, and I would like to see more of those parallels happen, but I thought Ludwig looked fantastic last week. Don't sleep on just like the color coordination with the navy slacks. I really wish he wore this week.
A little bit of like a soccer, football sort of inspired kit. It's stripes, but they're thicker stripes.
Do you have to be European to pull this off, or
no,
anybody could do this?
I do think you need to have a physique.
You gotta have a nice figure.
Yeah, like he's got a good upper body. It works for it.
Okay.
I got applause down here for Ludwig.
They do like that.
Upper body. Yeah.
Next one.
Next is the bad lesson. So it's less about the guys that are wearing it, Rory and Scotty here, and more about the brand. Nike makes a lot of great clothing. I love their minimalism out on the course. They went for this pattern this time around, and I think we're going to show Scotty first because he was wearing it this week on Tuesday or Monday. But there's all kinds of shields, and if you look closely, we'll get a close-up when we get to the Rory picture.
That just looks like a dirty shirt.
It looks like a dirty shirt. Like, you don't know what those symbols are. They're innocuous. If we move over to Rory here, you can see it's even worse when you play with colors here. So Rory, Dan, they're red in this shirt.
So they look black to me.
They're empty. And Andy, guys, if we kick to this next photo, look at these patterns. It's like there's an empty shield on his shirt. Like, why? What are those, hockey sticks? Like, this just makes no sense. Nike's got so much archival. The shield everybody loves.
Yeah.
Like, they brought it back.
If they were
and I
all
love
shields,
that.
you'd be okay with it.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, what's your stance on like the mini, not logos necessarily, like mini icons?
I'm not a big fan. I think you got to just go completely minimal with one small. Even like in the hats in the pro shop, like I was searching for something that didn't have something on it that was this big.
I want the micro gold boy. Right
I
in the
found
middle.
that. And
do they have it in there?
On a circle, and it's really good on a navy hat.
Yeah,
it just didn't go with my ensemble, so I didn't buy it today.
And archival.
So this is a shot at everybody who hated on Freddie Couples joining Malbon, because I pulled an early 90s Sawgrass photo here of Freddie Couples, and if you just switch the M script onto these clothes that he's wearing from Ashworth and Lynx and whoever made the pants, I mean, look at that. Is that not exactly what he's wearing now?
That just shows me that fashion is cyclical, because that literally looks like something that Jason Day might wear that tomorrow.
Fashion is very much cyclical.
Yeah.
And this is a perfect proof of that.
It's kind of a look into like the fashion mind of like you just have to do something that other people think is uncool and you'll become cool. So like how far are we away from skinny jeans just being like back in the mix? Or are they already back?
A decade, probably.
Really?
Yeah, I would say.
A decade? That's a long time.
Look at our pants. We've gone a long way away. It's going to start to go back. I think straight leg pants are starting to like be more in the zeitgeist a little bit more. Boot cut was having a moment. Flares almost had a moment. Like the 70s were happening for a while.
Kendrick wearing those in the halftime show.
That was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I think we're merging back, but it's not going to go fast. Like, I think people have found their comfort in baggy pants.
That's the thing about the baggy versus skinny pants, especially playing golf, man. When I used to wear those like Lulu ABC pants, just riding up my sack. There's an actual difference in that.
My golf swing feels better with tighter pants on.
Then maybe you should wear tighter pants.
Keeps everything in.
I care about how it looks.
Based on our shoot yesterday, maybe you should wear some tighter pants.
I can't wait for you guys to see this.
Yeah, we had a little closest to the pin. You heard about it?
I saw the clips.
You saw the clips?
Alex goes, let me show you this real quick.
Yeah, it was
it's not, I'll just say it's not pretty.
You're not a bad golfer.
I'm way better than what you're going to see in about a month's time.
Well, better than you and better than me are all the 123 players, extended from 120 thanks to Brooks Koepka, that are going to tee it up tomorrow in the Players' Championship. What a great show. What a great show. What a great backdrop. We fought through some leaf blowers.
I've had worse Wednesdays.
We'll see you this weekend. We're going to do the watch along on Sunday. I think Ben will be on. Decision is to be made. Special guest Gate might continue for another week, but we'll see all you sickos on Sunday. Love you guys very much.